Hey guys, welcome to the Green Engineering channel. Today we're going to be looking at refining gold and silver. I want to take this and make it into a 3 to 4 video process of doing it on the cheapest way possible, mid-tier, high tier, and industrial. At the moment we're looking at the cheapest way possible of refining gold and silver. We're obviously going to be using nitric acid and using the Aqua Regia form. For the silver, we're also going to use nitric acid to keep costs down and continue with the same type of acid. You do not want to mix them, especially if you have chlorine. So, that being said, with the gold side, we're going to melt the gold into a very impure state. I normally use silver for this. The silver allows us to dissolve the gold and get as much impurity base metals out as possible. And then we'll move forward into the Aqua Regia step. This one will dissolve the gold itself, and then we may have to knock it. Knocking with sulfuric acid will allow us to get rid of the excess nitrogen. Fuck that up, it was nitric acid. And then we will drop it out with sodium metabisulfate and then do a little cleaning wash. Silver is a lot more straightforward. We just dissolve it in nitric acid, throw a copper pipe in there, and let it precipitate out. When it precipitates, we want to start washing it, make it clean. You will not get 99 fine silver from this process. It becomes more complicated whenever you're going for that. But for a nice, pretty bar of silver, this will work. Above you seeing the basic items list, pretty much a grocery list of stuff you'd need to purchase. For the following process, you're also going to need your acids and some borax. Those you can look at the bottle. You'll see where it came from. But you probably want to know the brass tacks. You are not going to make money off your first runs. This is very difficult to make money on the lower end. It's just learning the process. I hate doing it like this. I do about the mid tier most of the time, and it is such nicer and such cleaner to do. Let me give you advice. You need to buy low and sell at spot. So if you sell a larger quantity, the refiner will deal with you more. If you buy at 80% on either of these, you will make money and you'll get money back from your acid and all your labor and cost, stuff like that. But the way we're doing it now, I don't think you'll really make any money. And it's really good to learn this process before you do a lot of money or spend a lot of money in it. You're going to want to do this in a well ventilated area or a fume hood outdoor. Anything you can find that is not going to trap the nitrogen, or chlorine, and sulfur gases with you. This will heavily damage your lungs if you do this. So I am building a table outside away from the house with an extension cord and all the fun jazz so that I am not breathing in these harmful chemicals. So I'm using 2x6s for deep, and then for the support structure I am using 3 of the 2x6s, cut the length of those totaled. I'm putting in screws on all 4 2x6s at all joints. And this is to make the most sturdy table that you can have. Alright, so what I'm doing now is adding a resistant matting. Polypropylene, I believe this mat is, so that whenever I spill inevitably the chemicals, I am not destroying the table itself. I'm spilling it on a mat that's resistant and will not be dissolving under this. It'll make your life a nightmare if plastic starts dissolving. So the little brackets I'm adding are Teflon. I figured I should use staples next time. They will dissolve with the nitric acid, but these became embrittled and cracked quite a bit. And all honestly, I believe you can just go pick up some stainless steel ones. It's relatively resistant to corrosion in nitric acid. It will rust over time, but it's gonna be better than what I did. It was just a trial that horribly failed. For keeping sakes, you need to divvy up all the metal that you're going to be dissolving into what you define as clean and unclean material. Anything with iron or anything that you think could be stainless steel or that you want to keep should be moved and took into consideration. At this point, I'm going to be adding silver in with my gold. I want to get it down to around 4-6 carat and melt it into a solid lump so that whenever I add nitric acid to it, we don't have any of that silver binding to the gold and blocking it from fully dissolving. Now the melting takes a bit of a second. This is heavily sped up and I'm not trying to make a perfect piece. I'm literally just trying to get it to where it has the most surface area. You can always make something called shot. Shot is the little tiny beads, but you got to drop that over an area and hope it splatters in. And for the quantity that we're doing, this isn't going to take a whole lot of time. Come to find out, if you turn it into a cube, it takes forever. But, hey, we live and we learn. I am now starting the very first step of the sheet that you've seen on both of them. I'm adding nitric acid to both the gold and the silver. And this is to dissolve the silver and copper and the impurities out of the gold. And this is just to straight up dissolve the silver. And this process will take a good minute. This will eat up most of your time when dissolving this. You will need to heat both solutions whenever the items start dissolving themselves. It will start really darkening in color. It will become saturated, and you'll really want to add water and then add acid and then heat. You'll see it react a little, and if it gets too cold, it'll stop reacting completely, but there'll still be free nitric acid inside. And you want to get as much of the nitric acid used, or you want to drain the solution into another beaker and try to get as much off as possible. And then add more acid. At one point, you'll get diminishing returns. You'll have too much water in there, or it'll be too saturated. So you'll want to drain it off and add more acid. Alright, I'm going to start primarily focusing on the gold now. The silver has been dissolved off the gold, and I am rinsing it, making sure I catch anything that's left over and trying to dissolve all the precipitates. After that, we're going to move on to aqua regia. Aqua regia, we're now going to use the hydrochloric acid and fill it up above the solution. You can start getting to trying to save acid if you want at this point, but you're not yet at that level. You need to practice this and then slowly add nitric acid in drop-wise and let the gold start dissolving. It'll turn a bright yellow as seen. It can turn that bit of orange, but that's about all the gold I have left to dissolve, and you can see it's still reacting very, very vigorously. So that means there's still nitric acid within the solution, and you do not want to overdo the nitric acid, or else you're going to have to do something called knocking. As you see, I have to knock it. So this is sulfuric acid. I am doing little dabbles inside of it to try to get all the excess nitric out. It's going to give you hell whenever you move to adding the sodium bisulfate. So I'm filtering it one last time. You want to wash your filter paper. You're going to have a lot of gold in that filter paper. So make sure you wash everything out with your rinse bottle thoroughly. And then After this is whenever we get to the final step of adding sodium metabisulfate. All right, you see it changing colors, but the issue I ran into with this sodium metabisulfate that you're not seeing at the moment is it was bad. I don't know how else to explain it. It was bad. I'm pretty sure it hydrolyzed, and I was struggling so much to get stuff to drop out. It would drop out a little, and then it would stop, and then it would drop out some more. And I did, I think, 5 or 6 filtrations, constantly trying to drop this out. And I think I lost like 5 grams of gold in this solution, which hurts a lot. So whatever you do, if your sodium metabisulfate starts hardening, is no longer a powder, it has water in it, just get rid of it. It will cost you a lot more headache and money if you do not get rid of it. So the next step, you're going to wash your gold. You're going to want it to get it in to as pure state as you can. And by washing it first with hot water and then with nitric acid, you're going to dissolve all the base metals that fell out of solution with your gold. And whenever you dissolve the base metals, it's going to turn from a muddy, dark solution to a more light, golden solution. It's still going to look like dirt. It's just going to look like that gold dirt, for the best description I can. Now, on the left, you're going to see that mud color. You're going to see that very ugly tinted color. And on the right here, you're going to see that nice, bright, more gold color. This ended up in 98% gold. The one on the left, I think I actually got to 99% whenever I finished it. Now, for this run, I really did botch my yield, and I needed to redo it. So after I poured all of the gold I got from that run into a vessel, melted it down, and then weighed it, I realized I got nothing. Like, the sodium metabisulfite issue was so prevalent that I pretty much got nothing out, and I've already moved all of this solution into a waste beaker. This entire time, whenever I fill it up, I move it into a waste beaker. So I was like, screw it, we're starting over. So all that golden top right you seen, I melted into a cube, and I thought it'd be fun to watch. So it is silver in a cube, and I'm starting over from the first step of dissolving the silver off. Biggest issue: cubes take forever to dissolve. Like, it took 2 full days to dissolve this cube, and I am not even kidding. It was somewhere around 33 grams, but I plunged through it, and I constantly wasted more and more acid as it evaporated. I'm telling you, this method is not the one to do as time goes on, because you're just releasing a ton of acid into gas. You can see here I'm trying to keep that acid inside of the beaker. I want it to precipitate on the bottom of that other beaker to fall back in. And at this point, you've seen the daylight change maybe 2 times. It is dark again on day 2. But by the end of it, we finally got our nice gold powder at the bottom, which I was very happy it stopped reacting, because that was new nitric acid you're seeing inside that solution. So now we're going to move into Aqua Regia. So I want to rinse everything off. I'm going to rinse the nitric off that I just added in as much as possible, because that nitric acid is going to instantly react with the hydrochloric acid whenever I add it. So I am washing it, pulling some off, and drying it out to try to get all of the nitric acid off. As you can see, I did not get all the nitric acid out and it started reacting before I added any. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding more nitric acid drop-wise to make the Aqua Regia solution. And it's a bit violent on this one. It went pretty hard. And as you can see, it's still heated. Nothing's happening. So I'm going to drop-wise a little more nitric acid. Might have been a little too much. I'm not going to say it out loud. And it's going to go back to reacting. If possible, you're going to want to be able to cover this beaker to try to keep from losing as much as possible. But you'll get this beautiful gold colored liquid, which is gold. And I have ice and I have a funnel set up to be able to strain it. Well, I wanted to test to see if I had any more nitric acid in solution, so I dropped a small gold bead in, and I did. Well, I was hoping not to knock it, so I left that bead in there to try to dissolve the remainder of the nitric acid off, and I ended up dissolving the entire bead. So we had to move to knocking it. And after I knocked it, I started the filtration process, which I forgot to record, so I'm gonna tell you I added the sulfuric acid. And then I'm just gonna go straight to filtering the solution. So I have ice set to the side so I can chill and dilute the solution, so whenever I add the new sodium metabisulfite, that it precipitates better. And on this one, I did get a really good yield. I didn't get close to the 95% I wanted. I think I ended up at 92%, 24 karat yield. And I believe me spilling it right there could have been it. But I added some sodium metabisulfite to it to try to see if I could get a good amount of the gold that spilled to precipitate out. Now you got to be careful whenever you're adding sodium metabisulfite because it releases sulfur gas. And if you are not tolerant to that stuff, it burns. It is some of the most painful stuff in the world. Now you can see it falling out of solution, and I'm just adding more and stirring, adding more and stirring, and eventually the solution will actually become clearer. It'll look like that blue that I did on the last run, or maybe it'll be truly clear, and then we move back to the washing steps. So I added some nitric acid back to it, and you see how I had a little bit of hydrochloric still in there, and it's wanting to dissolve a little bit out. You get that yellow tinge to it. It also can be the hydrochloric acid just heating and turning yellow itself. It will decompose, but I'm almost positive it's dissolving a little bit of the gold itself. Now you'll run it through a few washings, alternate between warm water and nitric acid, and you'll slowly start seeing it turn from that dark color to the more gold light color. And you can see the two differences right there. One on the right I've washed a few times, and this one I am just starting. Once you finish all the washings, you obviously dry it, and let's pour another gold bar. Everyone loves seeing these poured. But this is where you start getting into the limitations of a torch. You'll see from the jump that it takes a fat minute to dissolve all this gold. At the end, I believe it was somewhere around 9 grams. And because there's still a little bit of water embedded inside the gold, no matter how much you heat it, it'll take it a second. And whenever I took this one in for inspection, I did get 9.9, so about 24 karat gold out of here, which was about $1,200 at the time of me melting this. And it's always fun messing with gold. I always suggest taking the time and playing with any of the metals you processed, especially when you're learning how to do it. You start learning how malleable gold is and its property being able to be morphed. I have a rolling mill, so I'm able to do all kinds of shapes and stuff with it. All right, see, there you go, 5.3 grams. on a nice cube, 6.1 total. And I don't remember the. And now for the funnest part, determine whether you did any good at this at all. So you can take it to any jeweler or scrapper for gold, and they will test it with an XRF machine or some form of testing machine to see what purity you ended up doing. As you can see, I did fairly well on this one. So I did it one more time. Whenever I was there, I ended up trading out some gold for them. I rolled it into a straight line, which I dissolved in less than 2 hours. This process itself took me about a day to fully complete. So from start to finish, I got all the way to torching it in about a day. And I poured it off, got it into a nice little cube, and I went in and got it tested. Now we can move on to the process that everyone would be able to do more easily, because the financial struggle of messing this up is quite a bit less than messing up gold. So as you see here, I'm adding copper to the Zolve silver nitrate solution, and it is very aggressive on falling out. Now you need to learn from my mistake on here, because I left off and my wife came and got me. And I ended up with a sludge because I left it too long in there. And some of the copper fell out into solution. And I struggled and struggled and struggled to get it out of that solution. As you can see, there's multiple layers, and the very bottom one is the silver itself. So the best way to deal with this issue is to drain out as much fluid as possible and add some nitric acid and dilute form to it. It will start eating up and clearing up that water or solution, whatever you want to call it, and getting all of the impurities out. As you can see from me washing it multiple times with nitric acid, it's starting to lighten in color. That green is going away. It's more of a muddy brown, and I want that brown out too. Whenever we tested this, I ended up with 9.9 silver, not 999 fine, just 9.9 silver, and they bought it as fine silver, which was lucky for me. But as you can see now, the mud is gone and it's more of a green. It's the copper still left over. And once you clean all that up, you can dry it out and get into the cement that you see here. Now, the cement is not colored, it's not tinted, it is a gray. That's what you're looking for, a nice gray color. So once we go through that, I'm going to add it to a furnace. I have way too much to blowtorch, and I'm sitting it on top to heat up the molds. So once they're heated, I'm going to pull the furnace out and pour it into the one I want. And obviously I'm going for a cube. I don't know what it is, but I'm doing cube theme today. I didn't really like that little hangy I got from there, so I wanted to re-pour it. So I heated it all up. And whenever your crucible's already hot, you can just drop it back in. So after I heat it back up, I went for the second pour. Get it much, 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 much nicer. And whenever you do this, you always want your graphite a little warm, about 300 degrees. Keep it around there. You won't have any issues. Make sure you do not have water. It will splatter and throw stuff on you. But once I got it, weighed it out, and it came out quite nice. I got a few troy ounces from it, and it was relatively easy to flip. I wanted to make something out of it, but I needed money at the time, which be the way it be. But I ended up running another process, heating up some more silver, and this time I added way too much acid. You can see it being more aggressive. It really going at it. I'm producing a lot of nitrogen dioxide. Once it's melted, I go back to the same process of dropping it out of solution. And this one, I diluted it quite a bit because I wanted it to be a little clearer, get a better image of dropping the silver out. But this one, because how much I diluted it, was not as aggressive as the last one, which formed pretty much a cloud. But I did learn from my mistake this time because I washed it, filtered it twice, and ran this process 2 times. This would be a much better description of how it is supposed to go whenever you properly drop out the silver into cement. You get these nice light crystals that fall out into solution and aren't caked full of copper mud. So the first one I ran that I showed you, I was going to show you it's a good learning experience. B, it's something that may occur whenever you do this. This is the way it's supposed to look. Now, I am going to preface that this video wasn't the best. And if you made it this far, I heavily thank you. This is the first video I'm ever going to post. And I have quite a bit more that I've done. I've been doing this for about 5 years, mainly in silver though. I really got into making trinkets and other items, pretty much contract work on a little side hustle. And if you guys have any suggestions on things I can improve, I have a list of things I can improve, especially filming angles and stuff like that. I did a terrible job, and then I ended up corrupting footage. And I think I spent 9 days doing this, and I should have just stuck with running good footage of it working the first time. But if you learned anything from the struggle, then you learned something from the struggle. The next one I will be focusing on electrolysis. This is what I primarily do. I do not cement silver that much. I just drop it out, dissolve it, turn it into electrolyte solution, and then start doing electrolysis. It is the nicest and easiest way to refine silver. And you get 99 fine on the second run of electrolysis. So the next video will primarily focus on that process and then running gold through a a column that drops the nitric back out, so I'm not wasting as much. I'm gonna work towards getting about a video out a week. I have been making videos for a good while. I've just never published any. I think I've made probably 15 and either not voiced over the videos or just didn't publish them. Like one of them is an Iceland time lapse, which is absolutely gorgeous, and multiple travels. Some little small ones of doing dumb stuff or gardening. And at one point I want to explain what I want to do with this channel and my overall goal. Because I'd rather run a business than run just a YouTube channel and use the YouTube to get the business out and have a little fun. But if you enjoyed the video, I appreciate it. And as always, have a nice day.